we're here with Boxing Bants, and I'm very happy to finally be speaking to two lads from Boxing Ireland, who feels like I haven't seen. Well, I actually haven't seen you in well over a year anyway. Two promoters from Boxing Ireland, Mr. Leonard and Stephen Sharpe. How are you, lads?
Not too bad, mate. Yourself?
Can't complain.
Get on good.
Yeah, not too
good
bad.
As can be, really, innit?
Yeah. So, you two lads are kind of the unlucky ones over the last year because you were kind of starting to have a show over in Spain, and obviously it was cut short because of things out of your hand. How has COVID kind of affected you in general? Anyway, Leonard, do you want to start?
It's been a funny one, isn't it? At the beginning, we were kind of blessed because we had a show on the 1st of February, so it's a year tomorrow. So we usually wouldn't do a show that early in the year. Usually March, first time we touch a show. Because people are still bouncing back from Christmas for ticket sales and all that kind of stuff, and lads might have enjoyed their Christmas a wee bit more than they thought they might have, and cutting weight. So we usually leave it a little bit longer. But this year, last year, we went as the earliest we've ever gone, 1st of February. So we were lucky that we got a show in, and pretty much all the guys who were active with us all got out on that. Can't remember how many we had on that show, but we probably 10 of our guys we got out on that show. So for the first while, it was like, right, okay, we can let's see how this pandemic thing goes, because it only really kicked in the middle of March when everything started getting cancelled. And then we had a show booked for the Devonish at the end of May. So we're there, well, listen, this thing will blow over by May and we'll be okay, and we'll get back on the horse. But then by the end of March, it was like the whole world had shut down, hadn't it? So that was the first lockdown. That was the new one. Everyone was like, oh, I don't know what's going to go on here. I think people are a lot more blasé now, but that first lockdown, it was a weird one. It was a real weird one. But like I say, we were lucky because we only had the guys out the month before. So then we started looking around at doing a behind closed doors show in Ireland, and just the guys getting sponsors, putting it on a pay-per-view platform, and doing it in sort of like a gym or a hotel or something like that, and like not having a socially distanced way in, not having no changing rooms at the venue that we were going to do it at. Have everything like you might be in a hotel room of your own in some hotel away from everybody else, every other boxer, and then, or you might come from your home straight to the weigh-in and then go straight home. Just have a totally socially distance, and we put loads of work into that, loads of time into that, and then basically what nailed that was we were asked to bubble everyone and to test everyone. So we were like, well, that's impossible.
I think it was more, Leonard, I just think from a health and safety perspective, because we worked, in fairness to the BUO,
yeah, but from the cost, I mean purely from the from the cost. Torpedo was totally financially unviable to put a show on where, unless you got massive TV backing, where you need to bubble everybody, you need to test everyone and quarantine people coming in from abroad. Nobody's been able to do that except for people with big Sky budgets or TV budgets.
No, well, in fairness, we got it close enough. We did get it close enough, and I think there was a concern just from a health and safety perspective from the BUI.
So that show in particular, I know you were looking around December to do it, and before that time, there was a few fighters that fought with Conor Slater abroad in Poland.
Yeah,
anything. Well, at that point, were you thinking, right, we're just going to scrap it, we'll just wait till this blows over, or were you thinking, right, let's start let's get a show abroad? Was that your mindset then?
We don't really want to do the abroad thing, We're Boxing Ireland. The clue's in the bloody title. Do you know what I mean? The going abroad thing, that's a necessity, but it's not something that we really want to be doing. Now, it's nice for guys maybe to get a fight abroad to build their experience if they ever get the call to say, here, listen, there's a title fight for you in Germany or something like that, and they've already done it. Now that's an added benefit to doing it. But we don't want to be doing continual shows abroad. We want to be doing shows on the island of Ireland. So we want to find a way to make it work that we can do them on the island of Ireland. And only as a last resort do we want to be doing shows elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, Leonard and Dennis have put a fair bit into, you know, the one, like we did have a, you know, 2 cancellations in Spain, and Leonard and Dennis did put in a bit of work into it. Personally, you know, I've always felt just sit it out. We're the only ones who do, like, you know, we're the only ones who consistently ran shows in this country over the last couple of years. And we have a model. It's a model that works. Reason being, we're still here. You know, there's been plenty of kind of guys who've come and gone, tried it. So yeah, what I think is just sit it out. You know, sit it out. Obviously, it's gone on a little bit longer than we would have expected. But yeah, I'd still be, you know, of the opinion, you know, sit it out. You know, hopefully by the end of summer, you'd be kind of in a position again to do something. You know, particularly if they go with the whole zero kind of, you know, suppressing it down to zero. You know, zero COVID. You know, that would open the door to maybe looking at doing something, you know, in Ireland, you know, and make it easier to do something in Ireland. But look, we've something in Luxembourg now. But it's so unpredictable, isn't it? Like, it really is. Things are changing all the time. We
needed to get our guys out, so that's where the Clash 11 in Mercia idea came from. But I don't think we'll be looking at going there until we see a show that actually happens there. I don't think we'll look to spearhead a show there. So I think that was December, late December or early December. We had the first date there, and then the Mercian government, they said no, there's no sporting events being allowed. But if you put it on the 27th of January, we will allow it. And then, well, as we know, a couple of weeks ago, they pulled that as well. So
it's like a lottery, isn't it, Leonard? There's different districts, different local governments. So
the ones that was cancelled, but that was a real pain. But I'd spoke to all the boxers. They knew the risks. We hadn't any flights booked. We weren't going to book flights until fight week on that one. And what I said, they were saying, "Listen, Leonard, do you think this will happen? Do you think this will happen?" I said, "Listen, I you know as much as I do." And the way I explained to them, I said, we were going to go out there a few days early just to avoid any problems, go out there on the Tuesday. I said, when we land, it's 50% happening. When you weigh in on the Friday, it's 80% happening. When you get to the venue on the Saturday, it's 90% happening. And when you're in the ring, it's 100% happening. That's how I explained it to them. And, well,
I think our lads are, like, they know, when this eventually does pass, you know, that they'll get fights. They regularly get fights, you know.
Well, in Ireland as well, which is where they want it.
Yeah. You know, and I
so
think
like
maybe that's not the case for some of the lads having to travel at the moment, that they may be trying to establish something outside of Ireland. You know, I think there's some issues there with some of Connor's lads, or they're not on Irish license or whatever, or not allowed to fight in Ireland or whatever it is. But so obviously, you know, them lads would be eager to fight away. But I think our lads are comfortable enough in the knowledge that, you know, eventually we're going to, you know, we will get kind of the shows back.
And then we'll do a show in the National Stadium, and that'll be a very good show, where we match a number of guys, lots of all Irish fights.
I suppose a lot of them had been agreed as well before.
A lot of them have been agreed.
We'd already agreed big fights for Martin Gaines, Stephen McAfee.
There's a lot. The guys are hungry for that now. Now, which is great. And then there's something big. Then the winners of that, there's something bigger. Now, the good thing is, over the last couple of weeks, over the last month, Mick Hennessy has got interested in Irish boxing. Now, I have a long relationship with Mick Hennessy, going back to when he had Tyson Fury. And I've always had a good relationship with him. And now he's got interest in the McKenna brothers, who are flying and really impressing British audiences on Channel 5. And he's also dipped his toe into the water with Brett McGinty as well from Derry. So, and who I've always said has got a great pro style. I remember messaging him after he lost senior final and telling him, I can't remember the exact message, but I remember saying, listen, you'll go far, you'll do well. You had a great pro style. I know he's a great pro style. He'll be very good. So Mick's starting to look at the Irish market, and we've had a couple of bits of conversation and communications, and we'll be getting involved with him then. So that'd be brilliant, to expose the guys who come through these fights over the next couple of fights. When they fight their Celtic titles or their All Irish titles, they'll be the ones that will be getting exposed to either TV with Mick Hennessy or another plan that we have for a very big show, which is a mixed combat show with Muay Thai, K1 and pro boxing all under one show, all under one roof on the same day. Like there's 20 guys there all looking to fight. Yeah. It's just, I'm not sure if we can match them against Connor's. I would like to match them against Slater's guys, but I'm not sure what the position is with them. You hear one thing that they can fight in Ireland, you hear then you can't. You don't know which of them are on Irish licenses or what the situation is. I genuinely don't know. I don't know. Someone might ask them. I actually genuinely don't know. But I would like to match our guys against theirs. But if their guys are not able to fight in Ireland, we're wasting our breath even talking about those matches, because those matches have to happen in Ireland, because both guys are going to need to be able to sell tickets to maximize the revenue. Like they could fight each other in Luxembourg in March. What are they going to get for that? They're going to get nothing. They're going to fight each other. You find out who the winner is. They might get a belt, but they're not going to make any money from it. So it doesn't really work unless they can sell tickets, generate revenue, and have their sponsors ringside to enjoy the show from Bulgaria.
Our guys haven't been knocking the door down either with us. Like there's a few, obviously, who want to travel. All of them are actually on that Luxembourg card, but a lot of them just are happy enough to sit it out. We've spoke to them all, and they're.
Oh yeah, everyone's been offered. Everyone gets offered to go abroad. Like we can get slots for everyone abroad, but what's the pros and the cons of it? What's the benefits and the negative? It costs them a lot of money to go there. Let's not pretend that they can go. They're going over fighting these guys and everything's for free, or they're getting a purse. They're not. The money has to be generated purely from sponsors, and they're the guys that are going to be fighting, the guys that are fighting on these shows that we're looking at around Spain. Every boxer on it is paying their own way effectively to get on those, and we don't take that lightly. You can't say, oh yeah, just go ahead and book the flights, lads. Let's go. It's sorted. It's on Box Rec. So here's a poster. It's sorted. It's not as easy as that, Like, look at the one in Poland that Connor did. But it worked magnificent to get a show going in Poland, but it's not a Box Rec. Now I know there's an issue over one sanctioned body or another, but I know what would I say to my fighters if I'd brought them to Hungary or wherever, put a big show on? They've spent all this money to bring opponents in, and they've had flying out there and all that kind of stuff, and then it doesn't appear on their record. Now, they might be working behind the scenes to get it on their record. I don't actually know what the problem is. I know there's two sanctioned bodies in Poland, and one's trying to take over the other or whatever. I don't know. But it's not on the record now. Like that's happened before. That's happened in Mexico, and that's happened in Hungary as well, where Boxrec don't recognize certain shows. They don't go on your record. So you spent all this money to go and fight a journeyman abroad. You're risking it that you might test positive, risking that your opponent might test positive. I know we're going on about it a bit much, but and then it doesn't show up on Boxrec. It's like, Jesus Christ. It's that's a waste of money then, isn't it?
The fight that everyone's been talking about now, the fight card in Luxembourg, I can't imagine that's a Celtic clash, because I know there's a lot of your lads and there's a few of Connor's lads on it as well.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Yeah, well,
running that show.
Well, we've been on to a number of matchmakers, and because listen, the Mercia thing isn't going to happen, right? So what we wanted to do was go on a show where a guy has had track record of putting shows on during the pandemic. Now, we have had a couple of offers in Germany to go to Germany, and we had an offer to go then onto this guy's show who does them in Belgium and Luxembourg and Holland and stuff like that. Yassine is his name. He's the promoter over there. Only One Management is what they're called. So as soon as we actually were talking about getting a couple of guys on one of his shows while the Spanish one was on, because we couldn't put any more on the Spanish show. There was a couple of guys, Joe Fitzpatrick and another guy, who we couldn't get on Spain, but we were going to put on one of his shows later, like a month later. So then when we found out the Spanish thing wasn't going to happen, we gave him a shout. And he's put that one, he's put a load of Slater's guys on a show there last week, and loads of other guys he's got on. He's got a couple of guys from France and a couple of Belgian guys on it as well. So, and I think there's two brothers, the Trenel brothers, that seem to be doing pretty well in France. They're on it. We've got about 6 or 7. So there'll be a big show, yeah. And what he does is he does pay-per-view via Facebook. Yeah. Stream Facebook, which is good quality. Now it's in the commentating's in French, but I don't think anyone really cares. Or it might be in Flemish.
Stephen, I imagine those fights are just for lads, lads and girls to just to take over. It's nothing to do with 50-50, but it's just basically just for them to get out and just have a few rounds.
Yeah, just get out, get a couple of rounds. Do you know what I mean? There's not. Yeah, again, get them, get a couple of rounds, and then hopefully, back focusing on trying to get something up and running in Dublin or Belfast. And you can understand, but it makes sense, at this stage, to sort something for whoever wants to go over and get a couple of rounds. But yeah, so it's as simple as that. There's no big fights or. Mind you, one of ours asked me during the night when I saw the title fight out from no, just straightforward. Sorry, it could, it's mad, isn't it? There's, it could retire some fighters. There's some
definitely will. It definitely will.
Who are active enough who we might never see again. Because it's it's looking to the end of it, wherever the end of it is. But not only that, then it's kind of rebuilding again. So there may be some fighters we won't see again, which would be a pity. It says we'd also lined up a couple of title fights. We just received authorization off the BOI for a couple of them are sanctioned. A couple of them were sanctioned. So it was, again, that was something that wasn't too far off. Can I just say something, just to clarify something, just regarding the attempt we made regarding the behind closed doors. I suppose just how that ended was again, we had been speaking to the BOI. We'd actually proposed a couple of venues. So I know Leonard is kind of pragmatic and just it didn't happen. But eventually it was the medical people in the BOI who basically said they were following the line of the British Boxing Border Control, and there wouldn't be any shows at the moment in Ireland. So they actually medically, it didn't matter. Yeah. Medically it wasn't going to be allowed.
That's true, because at that time they were the British Boxing Border Control, even Eddie Hearn shows, they were limited to 5 fights and 6 rounds per fight. Well, I can't remember what the limitations on everything, even on the Sky ones.
You can understand that as well, because we don't have the capacity that Eddie Hearn would have, or the other big promoters. So you can understand where the BOI is coming from. In terms of it's just a risk. It's a risk that they're better off sidestepping for now.
Yeah, and people don't even realize, even in this country, it's a massive risk, because you look at the MTK Golden contract, like Jazza Dixon was fighting Ryan Walsh in the final, or Liam Walsh in the final of it, and it was literally in the UK. Jazza Dixon got the test, went up to his room the day before the fight, and next thing they knocked on the door, you've got COVID, you're out, and the whole show then completely changed. Then, so even at home, it's still a massive risk. What I was going to say was one of the big reasons, not only for Irish boxing to move back to Dublin, but was Dean Walsh one of the reasons why you wanted to kind of start? Because I know you just signed Dean, and amongst other people, Dean was kind of one of the big names. He's a big prospect in terms of pro game.
Dino will spearhead. I think Dino will spearhead. Kind of Dublin shows. Yeah, obviously, he's in there. But we're speaking. There's one or two others we're speaking to as well. But of course, Dean is a big name. But buckets of ability. So yeah, he'd be definitely one along with Kaelynn. So there's a few there,
Well, the thing is with Kaelynn's probably the only one who's come out of COVID. She's the Irish boxer who's come out of the COVID in the most improved position than any other Irish boxer, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, she's catapulted herself so far forward than where she was. Like she fought on our February 1 show, Celtic Clash 10, and that was a run of the mill journey woman, and then the fight in Germany came, landed on her lap. And I was very nervous about it, to be honest with you. It's not our normal, route map for people to jump into a fight like that. But Niall Barrett had massive confidence in her and had watched lots of videos of their opponent Shadko and devised a great game plan to beat her. And that was, to be fair, it was the highlight of our year. I know it was, I think it was voted performance of the year last year, and Kaelynn was voted the Irish Fighter of the Year by Irish Boxing, and then been nominated by the RTE for Young Sportsperson of the Year. So that just shows you the exposure she's had and the success that she's had over the year has been fantastic. And we always wanted to do a show of Goffs. And I think Kaelynn had seen a picture on our Twitter a couple of years ago, and she was like, I want Goffs as well. Like, that is, in Ireland, the best venue for boxing that there is. I've not seen a better one. There might be a better one. I've not seen it. It's unbelievable. It's perfect. It's a bowl amphitheater with the parade ring at the bottom where they've done. The snooker is normally on there, Goffs International Snooker.
It's like a mini coliseum. You're kind of overlooking down.
It's a mini coliseum. So what I would love is, as soon as we can get a full house in there as well, is to get her in a title fight there. Yeah. Because I think in world boxing, Kaelynn Phelan is probably the most prized asset out there in terms of girls coming up. Yeah. Of course, you got Kaelynn and you got Clarissa Shields and all them at the top already, Katie. But look at the age, look at the average age of those girls. There's so many girls in their 40s. Kaelynn at 20, is a phenomenal prospect, and we've had great feedback from big promoters, who just want to see her, like that fight in Germany was a big jump ahead, from a couple of 4-rounders into a world title fight, a couple of minor world title fights and the WBC youth world title fight, like fantastic. But that was a massive jump. So what we need to do is fill in a couple of the blanks, and then I think that every promoter in the world would want to sign her. We get a lot of attention for Kaelynn. We're getting a lot of offers. We know what we want to do. It would take a big event to take us off that path. Yeah, an offer of a legitimate world title fight is one of those things, right? So we got offered a fight against Hannah Gabriels, from Costa Rica, who is the super welterweight champion. We were originally offered a catch weight, because we're not going to go up. We want to go down in weight. We don't want to go up in weight. Yeah. So we were offered a catch weight close to welterweight. Yeah. That was something that we were really interested in, something we accepted. So that went back to them. Now we wanted it as close to welterweight as possible, because like I said, we want to be going down the weights. We only took that fight at welterweight against Shadko because we were very confident in beating her. We don't see ourselves at being at welterweight. I think Kaelynn would be an absolute monster at light welter and lightweight, where the real action is. But you can't ignore a stone cold legitimate WBA world title fight that comes on your lap. Now, like I said, we agreed for it to be at a catch weight. We were offered it to be a catch weight, and then when that went back to them, then they came back and said no, they didn't want to go. So maybe the offer was made in error, and they weren't, or maybe the guy, their agent, overstepped the mark by agreeing to a catch weight. But we weren't going to go all the way up to light middleweight. You know, it's not where we should be fighting on big fights, especially against a massively accomplished boxer like Hannah Gabriel, who is a legitimate world title fight, a legitimate pound for pound top 10 fighter in the women's division, and who was a pro before bloody Kaelynn was in school. You know, it's just it would need to be. We need the seesaw to be tipped a little bit further in our favour, and they weren't prepared to tip it as far as we wanted. So that's dead in the water. That's dead in the water now.
One thing I was going to ask you was the Martin Hogan show. So Martin Hogan has talked about that show you've spoken about in the Tree Arena. Now, he's never put down a date, but that's the one that has Muay Thai, kickboxing, boxing all under one roof. It's the first time boxing will be in the Tree Arena since that Macklin show in 2014. Obviously had that great fight between Jono and Deco, and are you going to be associated with running that boxing part, or is it more so looking for you to put some of your people on the show in slots?
So we have a very good relationship with Martin Horgan. You know, we ran the boxing end of his show, which was a Muay Thai boxing show down in Cork last year, which is I think was the last show in the Republic of Ireland, and he knows he can trust us. You know, we were the junior party in that show, but we acted and we delivered as if that was as much as our show as it was his, and he really appreciated that. That was fantastic for him, you know. So we built up a good relationship through the bonds of working. He's the one that has brought the Tree Arena to us. He's got massive fights lined up in other combats, under combat sports, but we will be coming on board as a co-promoter on that, on the boxing end of it. No, that might change. Like, it's all up for discussion now. He has a couple of dates already penciled in for later on the year, but my opinion is they'll be dominoed back, you know, because he needs to get his guys to have a show like the Stadium show and the Devonish show that we have. He needs to get them to almost knock each other out so that they go on to the big show. So until he's able to do like another Neptune show, I doubt he'll be able to do the Tree Arena show. But we've gone through all the numbers. It's going to be fantastic, and he's got massive names. I can't say who they are, but they're big crossover names that everybody knows. Not just in combat sports. It's going to be a massive night. Can't wait for that. And he's a great fella.
Yeah. I suppose it's also worth mentioning Noel Power as well, because Noel had Rinky lined up as well. Noel Power before this happened as well. So that's something else that, you know, hopefully will be in the pipeline as well.
Yeah, lads, really appreciate it, and hopefully this year we'll at least see one show maybe in Ireland before the end of the year. But look, best of luck, and hopefully we'll be hearing from you soon.
Cheers, mate. Thanks very much. Take it easy.
Thanks very much for all the work you do as well. Fair play to you.
Well, thanks very much. All right, lads.
Cheers, man.